All right, why don't we, I've read the reports and there's a lot of information there. And I know Cody's been through an awful lot, through a lot of placements and so forth, but who wants to just tell me the basics about how she's doing in the placement?
Judge, I can.
Okay, Ms. Harrison. All right.
So Cody is currently placed at RTC. Cody is attending school with charter school. We are currently working on getting Cody some braces on, and I believe that's something that we were hoping to discuss during today's hearing. We're also working on getting Cody a new set of glasses, as well as an updated psych eval. Aside from that, Cody is meeting with a psychiatrist regularly and a therapist regularly in the placement. I did get to speak with a therapist yesterday, and I was informed that there are concerns that Cody is not being compliant with medication. Cody is not happy being however, that is the only placement option for Cody. It's also the safest place for Cody at this time. We're definitely not opposed to looking for other placement options for Cody, but we want to make sure that Cody is safe before we make that decision.
Okay. So I'm assuming she's getting therapy there.
Correct.
And do you believe that all her other needs are being met while she's there?
I do.
All right. So what did you want to discuss about the braces? Is there an issue about getting her being able to get braces?
So we really just wanted to discuss the payment. Mom has offered to pay for that, but I believe CASA wanted to speak a little bit on that today because it is not covered by Medicaid, because it is not considered medically necessary, but it is something that Cody would like.
Right. And I'll just say I'm totally supportive of that. I think that, I know that they say it's not medically necessary, which is kind of silly in my opinion, because it does affect your health if you need dental work. So is somebody from CASA like to speak to that issue?
Your Honor, we were informed that Ms. Morgenstern had graciously offered to help pay for these braces or pay for the braces, and we would like for her to do that. Okay. Otherwise, I don't know how we are going to be able to get these braces done.
Right. And that's unfortunate. Has Ms. Morgenstern been and I don't know who can answer this question, been ordered to pay child support or have paid any child support?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so it does seem like that would be kind of an appropriate thing to do in lieu of child support. Ms. Morgenstern, are you willing to pay for the braces?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone have any idea how much that might cost? And do we need anything like upfront, or how would that payment process work?
So, sorry, Ms. Morgenstern has offered to pay via credit card or debit card over the phone to the office. And I have spoken with them, and they are willing to accept payment in that manner. We just need to set up the appointment.
Okay. Are you okay with that, Ms. Morgenstern? Do you have any questions about it?
No.
I think that's wonderful that you're offering to do it. I think it's totally appropriate. And frankly, I'd rather see you spend money on something that's going directly to Cody rather than just going into some state coffers or something, So I think that's really, that would be great. Now, glasses would be covered by Medicare. So what do we need to do to get her updated with her glasses, Ms. Harrison Bader?
So I'm not 100% sure as to how they pay for the glasses. I've been told that it is 2 pairs per year. Cody has already had 1 pair, but they are broken. They're no longer working. So regardless, Cody will need those glasses. And I've been working with the placement to set up an appointment or to get a replacement pair.
Okay. So Cody, you tell me, how are you doing? Can you use your glasses at all right now?
No, ma'am. My glasses are not functionable.
Well, so what are you doing? Or is that causing you trouble right now?
Sometimes it gives me headaches, but in class, normally I just sit closer to the board so that way I can see what I'm doing.
Okay. Well, I think that's something we need to get on just right away. And the placement really needs to take the lead on that. And, it's their job to make sure that her needs are being met. So, okay. Is there anything else you want to say, Cody? I know you don't really want to be in an RTC, and I think that everybody would like to see you in a less restrictive placement. But as you know, we've had trouble keeping you safe in a placement over time. So is there anything you want to say to the court about that? You can say something, or you don't have to if you don't want to.
I just feel that it's not appropriate for me to be in based on situations that have happened. I understand that my overdose was a serious situation, but I don't feel that being it's going on 15 months now is appropriate. I don't feel that that's appropriate at all, because I've grown bonds with people who are no longer here, and that's affecting my mental health. And I've also seen multiple groups of kids come and go that is also affecting my mental health. And they're holding me to standards that other kids are not being held to, which is very hard for me because they give other kids grace, but when it comes to me, they expect so much more out of me, things that don't even make sense.
Okay. Well, I hear you. And where would you want to go?
If I had a choice, I would go with Ayanna Davis.
Who is that?
That is someone who offered to take me in not too long ago. And
so is she a friend or somebody you met through your placement, or?
She is someone I met, no longer works here. She's like a sister to me. We grew a connection while she works here. And she's just someone who I felt very close to, and I felt that I could, talk to about anything and not have to worry about her judging me or being disappointed in me, unlike some other people.
Okay. Well, that it would have to be somebody who's certified for placement. We can't just.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
So are you saying you would prefer a foster home to your current placement?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Ms. Acosta, is there anything that you want to add? And if anybody has anything they want to say, I'm just kind of trying to get to the core issues here, but I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to weigh in if they would like to. Ms. Acosta, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that Cody has expressed repeatedly that this isn't the place that they want to be. And I also think that it's concerning to me that Cody's in that environment and the overdose did happen. And so I know that there was a safety plan put in place, but it's concerning that this facility, I believe, deals with situations and youth in similar situations every day, and yet didn't have medications guarded enough to prevent this from happening. So that's one of my big concerns. The other concern also is that Cody doesn't want to be there, right. And that they have been there over a year, and I don't see that anything is. I think that looking for a different placement is definitely what needs to happen. I don't see a lot of growth as yet.
Okay. What would y'all like to add to that from CASA's perspective? Because I know that y'all might have a slightly different perspective than than Cody's attorney.
Your Honor, CASA understands Cody's desire to leave this placement, and we want the same for him. However, we do not know that there is not a safer place out there for him right now. He was able to leave and had to return in December. So technically he has only been in this placement again since December of 2022. We tried to move him from Cedar Crest into a less restrictive placement, and it went very badly. And he ended up being hospitalized and back at, we've had 3 attempts from Cody since he's been in foster care. And CASA is extremely concerned that if he's in a less restrictive placement without engaging in the trauma therapy that's recommended, that he'll be successful. So at this time, CASA believes that it is in Cody's best interest to engage in the trauma therapy that is recommended and to work to lower his level of care so that it's safe for him to go to a less restrictive placement. CASA would be in favor of looking into and studying anybody that Cody thinks could be a potential placement. This staff member, we haven't met this person or spoken to them, but we would be totally open to exploring that option. But at this time, Cody has yet to fully engage in the trauma therapy that's been recommended.
May I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
I don't feel that it's appropriate for you to tell me what I have and haven't been engaging in.
Wait a minute. You don't talk to her. You talk to me. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I don't feel that it's appropriate that they are telling me what I have and haven't been engaging in, and that they are telling me what I have and haven't processed.
Well, let me just stop you there, because that's their job, is to report to the court what they're hearing from your placement. So those are the reports that they've been getting, that we've all been getting. And so we have to act on those reports. Now, if there's something that needs to be corrected, then you and your caseworker need to talk to the placement and clarify that. Okay. I just want to make it clear to you that you understand that what everybody says may not be what you want to hear, but it is based on the reports that we've all been getting from the placement. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, but
do you feel like you're engaging in that therapy?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Every Monday and Thursday, I walk to my therapist's office. My therapist starts my therapy, and some days we process what is going on in the units, and other days we process my trauma that y'all say that I need to work on.
Okay.
But I don't feel that my trauma affects me. I've moved past my trauma. My trauma is in my past. I can't change it. I don't feel that I need to work on it.
Okay. Well, that may be a problem that some people have. So what I would just say, just keep engaging in your therapy right now. And what I would say is that I think that all of us would like to see you in a less restrictive placement. I know that I would, but there are lots of concerns based on, previous actions that you've engaged in that give us concern about your safety. It's not really about what we want or you want. It's whether somebody can keep you safe. That's the main criteria that we're looking at. If you can be safe somewhere else, then that's, that would be great. And I agree with what Ms. Rabson said, that if you or your mother have any names of people you think might provide an appropriate and safe placement for you, give those names to your caseworker, and they can reach out and talk to that person, and it may be that they could be visiting with you before there was a placement, and they can look into the person's situation to see if it would be appropriate. So we're always open to looking for options for you, so just know that. All right, let's see. Are there any other recommendations from the department as far as what we need to maybe needs to be included in a court order?
The only thing would be that whenever we spoke with me and Goldie, whenever we spoke with the therapist yesterday, she did mention that they were thinking about re-examining Cody's medications because Cody is on a lot of medications. So they're wanting to kind of go back to the drawing board on that and see if there might be a better mix of medications that can aid Cody. So they are going to be looking into that. Cody does have regular medication reviews as it is, but at this point, because we do kind of feel like we have hit a wall with Cody, we don't feel that Cody is making progress. And obviously we want Cody to make progress because we don't want Cody to have to stay more than is absolutely necessary. So we do believe that that is going to be a crucial part in Cody reaching the next step. And also I would just like to inform you that there was an investigation involving the situation with Cody, and the allegations were ruled out. And I have also made contact with Ayanna Davis, and seeing as how she did work at CPS, she does know Cody's behaviors. If I can, get the information needed from her, I think that might be an appropriate placement once Cody has reached treatment goals.
Okay, so that's encouraging, Cody. That looks like there's somebody out there that might be possible placement, but you've got to work really hard to show everybody that you can be stable and be safe. Ms. Morgenstern, are there anything that you want to add at this point?
I don't think that Cody is really she's just kind of going through the motions in Cedar Crest. When she overdosed and she was in the hospital in Belton, I was there with her, and she told me that her therapists don't believe that she should be in the facility any longer. So her therapy consists of just playing cards. She's not actually seeking therapy. She sits in the office and plays with her therapist for an hour, which is not encouraging at all.
Okay. Well, we can address that. I think the department can address that with or belong can address that with the placement.
And so Cody actually does have a new therapist.
Okay.
And
are you having visits? I understand that you're visiting Cody.
Yes.
Okay. And how does that go?
Not well.
What do you think about the visits, Cody? Do you want them to continue, or what do you think?
What visits? I haven't seen my mom since my overdose. And before that, I hadn't seen my mom since my birthday.
Okay.
And I doubt very seriously that if my overdose hadn't happened, I would have seen my mom. So
would you like visits with your mom, or?
Well, I'm not going to force my mom into a situation that she's not going to feel comfortable in, and it's going to upset her. And if it upsets her, it's going to upset me. So I don't feel that it's appropriate for her to come see me if she doesn't feel comfortable with it. So the choice is hers.
Okay. Well, both of y'all are saying the visits don't go well. So that's something I would leave to the therapist as well to evaluate whether that's a positive thing or not.
I feel that the visits go well. Well, up until the very end. I feel that the visits, when we visit, they go positive until a situation is brought up or something is said that my mother doesn't agree with, and then we get into an argument, and then she walks out heated.
Okay.
Instead of how I would like it to go, where we both handle it like the mature people we are.
Okay. Well, that sounds reasonable. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave that up to the therapist. I'm glad that there's a therapy change that might help. Just having somebody different, might help, jumpstart things along a little bit. And I think that a medication review is also a good thing. Is there anything? We're almost out of time. In fact, we are out of time. We just got about a minute left. So is there anything anybody else would like to add before we conclude?
Yes, Judge, just briefly, if we can have it in the order that placement is ordered to take Cody or get her new glasses. Get Cody glasses.
I'm going to do that. I've already got that in my notes. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Acosta?
Not
I
at
am
this time.
gonna, I am going to order. I'll go ahead and make an order, and then if anybody thinks of anything I need to add, I'm going to order that Cody continue in the current placement for now, and if they can be moved to a less restrictive placement, then and everybody's in agreement with that, then there's not a need to come back to court in order to make that change of placement. I also am going to order that Ms. Morgenstern pay for the braces for Cody. It sounds like she's in agreement with that, but I want to put that in the court's order. That would be sort of in lieu of child support. Also going to order that the department make arrangements for Cody to have new glasses just as soon as possible. I also am going to order the medication review. It sounds like that's going to happen anyway, but I think sometimes putting it in a court order might, help move that along. Let's see. Is there anything else that needs to be ordered before we conclude? We're set to come back to court on August 18th at 9:30. Not sure right now whether that will be in person or by Zoom. It kind of depends on how many other hearings we have that day. So, but you'll get notice of that, well in advance. And I'm really glad that everybody's here. I think it helps to have everybody here for one thing, just to know what everybody else is saying, so that whether Cody or Ms. Morgenstern or the department agree with everything that's being said, at least we are hearing what everybody is saying. So Cody, I'm especially glad that you were here today, and please keep working in your therapy. And it hasn't been that long since the overdose, so I think that's why everybody's especially concerned, because that's pretty scary. So, but just know that I'm hearing what you're saying, and want to support you if it's at all possible to do that safely. Okay. Anything from anybody else? All right. Thank you guys for being here.
Sorry, Judge, I missed that hearing date.
Oh, I'm sorry. August 18th. Is that what I said? August 18th at 9:30.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, this case has been a lot of work for a lot of people, and so I thank you all for your work. Did you have something else, Cody?
I just wanted to see my dog.
Oh,
Hi, baby.
okay. What's the dog's name?
Rooster.
He's cute.
Thank you.
All right.
Judge
Then
Britton
nothing further,
Pesca,
then
attorney
you
for
all
the
may be
department, and
excused.
we
Thank you.
agree to the proceeding moving forward via Zoom.
Okay, thank you. And I didn't say it, but we're set for a status hearing today. All right, would the department's representatives please announce?
Alejandra Cerduche, Permanency Specialist with Belong.
Okay, thank you.
Ashley Crouch, Permanency Supervisor with Belong.
Kathleen Savage, attorney for the respondent mother, Sydney Cavness. Your Honor, we're ready and we are in agreement to proceeding by Zoom.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Cavness, if you'll unmute and announce your name for the record.
Sydney Cavness, the children's mother.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cavness.
I do apologize that I'm sick in advance.
Okay, well, I'm glad we're not in person then. All right, Ms. Graham, you want to go next?
Yes, Peggy Graham, attorney for the children, and we agree to using Zoom on this matter.
Okay, thank you.
Goldie Rabson, Hill Country Casa Guardian Ad Litem Supervisor, and we're in agreement for today's Zoom.
Cheryl Andrews, Guardian Ad Litem for the children, Hill Country Casa.
All right, thank you, Ms. Andrews. Let's see, who else do we need?
Irene Acosta, attorney ad litem for the father, Isaac Hawkins. I'm ready, Your Honor, and I agree to proceed by Zoom.
All right. Do you want to go ahead and proceed then, Mr. McKeska?
Sure, Judge. Mrs. Certucci, can you please state your name for the record?
Alejandra Cerduche
And how are you currently employed?
by Belong.
Okay. Can you give the court a quick update on where the children are placed and how they're doing in that placement?
They're placed with Brenda and Robert Jeffers, the great grandparents, and they're getting all their needs met currently at their placement.
Are the kids upstate on medical, dental appointments?
Medical, yes. Dental, yes, for Kennedy. Cameron is not old enough for his dental yet, but it will be followed up when he's 6 months.
Okay. And did the department and or belong have to do any sort of updated home study on the Jeffers home?
It's in the process, yes.
Okay. And the updated home study was just because there's an additional child added to the home. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any concerns that that home study will not come back positive or favorable?
No.
Okay. Do you have any concerns for the kids at this time?
I do not.
Okay. Following the temporary orders hearing, were you able to meet with the parents in order to develop family plans of service?
We've created the family plans. I haven't met with them to go over the family plans, but when I went over the FSNA, I did a tentative family plan, so they're aware of what services.
Okay. And was a family group conference held to discuss those family plans?
Yes, on March 8th.
Okay. And did either parent attend the family group conference?
No.
Okay. With regard to Ms. Cavness's family plan of service, what services is the department going to be asking her to complete as part of this case?
We were asking her to get a drug assessment done, a screening. She did do a UA last Friday on the 10th. We got those results this week. Those came back negative. We also asked her for parenting classes. I sent her that information this morning to call them to set up parenting for her. And then they're going to call me back to go over what exactly we want them to cover. And then we also did for mental health for individual counseling as well.
Okay.
Sorry, I wanted to add that we were also going to include getting her driver's license reinstated because it's currently suspended.
Okay. What about domestic violence? Is that included on the family plan?
And domestic violence, yes, for a victim and perpetrator.
Okay. And with regard to those services, all the contact information for the service providers, is that included on her family plan?
Yes.
Okay. And has that family plan of service been filed with the court?
Yes, it was filed. There was a delay. It wasn't filed when we requested it, but it's been filed.
Okay. And will you set up a time to meet with Ms. Cavness to go over that family plan of service?
Yes, and Mr. Hawkins as well.
Okay. With regard to Mr. Hawkins, what services is the department asking him to complete?
So it would be the same thing for parenting, individual counseling, domestic violence.
Okay. Is he also going to be asked to complete random drug testing?
I believe so, but I'd have to double check how that would work because he's incarcerated.
Okay. If he is released during the course of this case, would random drug testing be included on that family plan?
Yes.
Okay. And what about a drug and alcohol evaluation for Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Okay. And just a point to clarify for Ms. Cavness, are you asking that the drug and alcohol evaluation be completed conditionally upon a positive drug screening?
Yes.
Okay. Where is Mr. Hawkins currently incarcerated?
In Kirk County Jail.
Okay. And are you aware of any services that are available to him while he is incarcerated?
Yes, I did speak with somebody yesterday and they went over they have church and life skills. They have AA where they sometimes address substance abuse. They have medical and they have a therapist on site where as needed. So when I meet with Mr. Hawkins, I have to make sure to instruct him to ask for the therapist for counseling.
Okay. And are you going to set up a time to be able to review that family plan with Mr. Hawkins?
Yes, I am. I did also forget to add that when I spoke to the lady at the jail yesterday, she stated that she's seen him go to church and the life skills class.
Okay. All right. Pass the witness, Judge.
Ms. Savage?
Yes. Last Friday, my client was able to take a hair test for the department. Is that correct?
Not a hair test, it was a UA.
Okay. Will you be sending her for a hair test?
I believe she was sent by the previous worker. So we would have to wait a while before we send her again.
Okay. So she has submitted
I'm sorry,
a recent
Kathleen, I
hair test for the
apologize.
for Belong.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
And please don't talk over the caseworker's testifying right now. Go
So
ahead.
she has submitted a recent hair test for Belong. It just wasn't sent by you. Is that correct?
I don't think it was by Belong. I think it was by CPS.
Okay. Let me rephrase my question then very clearly. Has Ms. Cavanis provided a recent hair test for either CPS or Belong?
Yes.
Okay. And were those results negative?
Yes.
Thank you. She's also had parent-child visits with her children recently, correct?
Yes.
How do those visits go?
They've been going well, except she missed the one yesterday.
Okay. Did she provide notice as for that missed visit? Or was that due to her illness?
No, all the communications go through our case aide, Stephanie Chandler. So she communicates with her for those visits to get confirmation, but I know that Stephanie did confirm with her to change the visit for Thursday because they usually meet Fridays. But she didn't show up yesterday.
Okay, so are we going to have a set schedule to help make sure visits aren't missed in the future?
I believe it is a set schedule. It's for Fridays, but because of court, it was a time conflict. So they scheduled it for Thursday for that reason.
Okay. And in regards to her services, have all the referrals for the service providers been sent out?
Yes.
And will you be emailing me a copy of her family plan of service so I can also make sure Ms. Cavanis receives a copy?
Yes.
And domestic violence, when can she begin that service?
So that one, we were having trouble with the contracting. So we're still working on that referral in particular.
Okay. And since that's probably the most important referral for this case, will you make that a priority so she can get started as soon as possible?
Yes.
And then can her individual counselor also address domestic violence in their sessions?
Yes.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Acosta?
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Artucha, have you spoken to Mr. Hawkins and provided him a copy of his family plan?
The family plan was just created yesterday, so I'm going to schedule to meet with him probably next week to go over it.
And you mentioned that there is counseling available at the jail, correct?
Yes, there's a therapist on site.
Is it possible for his domestic violence to be addressed in his therapy as well?
Yes, everything they explained to me was as he would mention it. So as long as I instruct him to make sure he mentions that to the therapist, it'll be covered.
Okay. Are there any other services that can be provided to him while he's in the jail via Zoom or any other method?
Not that I'm aware of at this time, but I can do further research on that.
Thank you. With regard to visits, if and when he is released from jail, will he be having visits with his child?
Under the recommendations of the Belong, yes.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Ms. Graham?
Thank you. You mentioned that you were helping Sydney get her driver's license. What exactly does that entail?
So I asked her why it was suspended, and she could not provide me with any information on that. So as far as that goes, I'm not sure why or when it was suspended and for how long it will be suspended. So that's something that I will work through with her on getting reinstated.
Okay, but you haven't done anything on it yet.
No, ma'am, not yet.
Okay. Are you asking any additional services than she's had to take before?
I'm sorry, am I asking additional from
Are
what?
you asking for any additional services for Sydney other than what you've asked for in the past? Was there anything different?
No.
Okay. Are they still going to be virtual, or will she have one-on-one?
They've requested for the majority of the services to be in person.
Okay. Is that something that's different?
Yes.
Okay. You think this might be more effective?
I don't know how I can answer that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. What is Mr. Hawkins? He's in jail on a blue warrant, but what was the underlying crime that he was on parole for?
I believe it was assault, aggravated assault.
Do you know when that happened?
I wouldn't be able to tell you the exact day, no.
Okay, approximate time frame?
I'm not sure.
Not sure.
I would
Okay.
object.
Okay, that's all. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Any further questions, Mr. McKeska?
No, Judge.
All right. So I want to hear from CASA, but I also just kind of wanted to address a couple of things that were mentioned. It does seem like the plan of service is reasonable. The services that have been requested will be made part of the order of the court. I do think it's appropriate. It would be good if most services could be handled in person. I don't know if that will help, but it seems like it certainly might make a difference. I want to reiterate what I think Ms. Savage said, that I think the domestic violence classes are perhaps the most important. And I think that it would be appropriate for the therapist to address it, but I also think that both parents need to attend the BIP classes, the official domestic violence classes, and that takes a while. So I think we need to get those started just as soon as possible. And I think those are critically important in this particular case. Let's see. Anything? Oh, and also the question I had about the update to the home study. I know that in the previous case, the grandparents had said they could no longer keep Kennedy. And so now they've got two. And so I think that needs to be addressed with the updated home study as to what they're, and I totally believe that it's because they're getting up in years and it's a struggle. I have no doubt that they, love these kids very much. They've got other kids that they've adopted. And I just think that we need to make sure that this is something they physically and emotionally can handle. So that's a big concern that I have. So Ms. Rabson or Ms. Andrews, do either one of y'all have any comments that you'd like to make at this time?
Judge, I would like to tell you that Ms. Cavness told me last Saturday that the visit with the children would be yesterday at 9 a.m., which I did confirm with Stephanie Chandler, and I was there at the Belong office yesterday morning, and Ms. Cavness didn't respond or call or come.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Andrews, for clarifying that.
And Your Honor, for CASA, we agree that all services should be attended in person. I think that is a little bit different than the last case. We also feel that the situation with the placement, the Jeffers are doing a wonderful job taking care of all of these children. However, there are other family members. There's a maternal grandmother and step grandfather who are an option. There's a positive home study. I understand it needs to be updated because Belong is saying that it needs to be updated, but I would like to ask that the maternal grandparents be allowed to provide respite to the Jeffers until we can determine appropriate placement options.
Okay.
CASA is also in favor of the services that are being ordered.
Okay. Has there been any kind of study on the maternal grandparents that you're mentioning as for respite care or background checks or anything?
Your Honor, there was a home study that was approved during the last case as a backup. And so that home study is less than a year old.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I think that I do think it would be appropriate to have some backup for the Jeffers, just because they're going to get tired or overwhelmed or, just need a break. So let me ask you, Ms. Cavanis, do you understand what it is you need to do in this case?
Yes, ma'am. But I had a few things to ask and say.
Well, I'm wondering if you heard everything because you've been talking throughout this entire hearing to someone else. So I'm wondering whether you were able to hear everything. So go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I'm listening fully. I understand fully, but I was going to ask Cheryl Andrews.
And, ma'am, you don't get to ask questions. If you have a question, you can ask me a question, or if you have something to say, you can say something. But you're not allowed to question witnesses. You have an attorney who does that. So go ahead.
Okay, I didn't know if I had gotten any phone calls or text messages on Thursday because my phone didn't receive anything. And usually my visits are on Fridays. And usually she texts me and she will ask me, are you coming to your visit today? Stephanie, I think her name is. I'm sorry. And she didn't text me yesterday. And I know that's not really on her, but I am sick and it was switched on me.
Okay. Well, you need to, if you know that she normally texts you and your text is not working, then it's your responsibility to contact her and let her know that your text isn't working and to confirm your appointments. Okay. I do think that it's important that you attend all the services in person, unless there's a really unusual reason why you're not able to do that. And as I said earlier, I think that the domestic violence classes are especially important. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So the court will find, as I said, that the plan of service in this case is appropriate and will make that an order of the court. Court finds that both parents are aware of the services that have been requested and have been able to be properly apprised of what those are. The court will continue the children in their current placement pending the necessary updates from home studies, and will authorize that if there is an approved respite home, that can be used without prior notice to the court if that's deemed appropriate. Ms. Rabson, did you have something that you wanted to add?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask that Belong be able to obtain both children's birth certificates, original birth certificates and social security cards from the mother. And CASA is also requesting DNA testing for Mr. Hawkins and Cameron.
I'm glad that you said that about the DNA testing, because I have a note that was ordered at the last hearing.
It was ordered, Judge, and we've already made the referral to the Attorney General's office, and we have dates and times for Cameron's tests, and then the provider will go to the Kerr County Jail to get Mr. Hawkins' sample.
Okay, great. I was going to ask about that, and I forgot momentarily. And we do need to make sure that Ms. Kavanagh can give those birth certificates and social security cards to the caseworkers. I need to advise Ms. Kavanagh that the state of Texas gives parents 1 year in order to demonstrate that you can provide a safe and stable home for your children. If you're not able to do that, your rights are subject to being terminated, or which means cut off altogether. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes.
And I am concerned because we've been through this before, and I don't want a lot of redundancy in this case. I think we need to focus on the things that are critically important and need to be changed. And I need to have assurance that that significant changes have been made. Let's see. I believe we'll be entering a scheduling order, and our next hearing will be June 16th at 9:30. That's an initial permanency hearing. And I think because services have been provided before, that this case should move more quickly. And so I expect by June 16th that we have everything well initiated. So you won't be through with counseling or domestic violence classes because those take time, but we should have some significant progress having been made at that time. Again, we'll be issuing a scheduling order that will have the other dates, but our let's see, dismissal date is February 5th of 2024. All right, then, if nothing further, you all may be excused, and good luck to everybody. All right, we are ready for our next case. And again, Mr. McKeska, I'm relying on you to let me know if everyone's here. I think that's Ms. Acosta that's on the phone. Yes. Ms. Yanis, I see. Yes. Ms. Gonzalez, I see. Ms. Pettis, I see. Is there anyone else that we're expecting on the call?
No, Judge, this is it.
Department of Family and Protective Services versus Pettis. This is a case filed under the court-ordered services statute, and where the department is requesting that the family participate in services. We're being held today, March 17th, 2023 via Zoom. Anyway, we had a hearing set earlier, and I think there was a drug screen that was going to be given. Where are we with that, Mr. McKeska? Is there anything to report from that?
Yes, Judge. So Ms. Pettis completed the agreed upon drug screen. The results were negative. And so the department filed a motion to dismiss on March 7th in accordance with our agreement from the previous hearing.
Okay, so is there anything we need to do today?
No, Judge, we were asking the court to dismiss the case today.
All right, well, since everybody's here, I'm just going to go ahead and ask for the record. Ms. Yanis, are you in agreement with the dismissal?
Yes, I am, Judge.
And Ms. Acosta?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, anything you want to add, Ms. Gonzalez?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Pettis, anything you want to add?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, I hope you will keep clean from drugs, and it will have no further need to intervene in your family. So at this time, based on the evidence I've heard in the department's petition to dismiss, based on the negative drug screen, the court will dismiss this case. So good luck to you, Ms. Pettis.
Okay.